Now, amid the news of James Comey's indictment, there is one man on this planet that is crucial we hear from. Carter Page. Now, Carter Page, he was a volunteer advisor to Donald Trump's presidential campaign in 2016. The DOJ, the FBI, they used that dirty, discredited, debunked, bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier of Hillary Clinton to get a warrant to spy on Carter Page. And it didn't just happen one time. James Comey signed 3 of the 4 FISA applications. They run in 3-month spurts, and they have to be reapplied for. And he signed 3 of the 4 of them. So what does Carter Page think of Comey now being indicted? Let's ask him. Former Trump campaign associate, congressional GOP candidate for the 18th District in Texas, who we fully support. Carter Page is with us. Carter, in the end, I want to make sure, I don't want to rush this part of the interview, and I want to make sure we get it in. You used to travel. You were a professor. You would travel abroad. You would come back, and you would sit down with members of 3-letter agencies and tell them everything that you knew, correct? You were a hero.
I definitely have supported our government, both in a military context, but also the U.S. intelligence community. Yes, Sean.
I want people to know that. So they put out this warrant, which is using the FISA courts. We know the bulk of information was Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier. What did that do to your life? And you were hurt by James Comey personally as much as any other person on earth? Reaction.
Well, Sean, I think one of the most critical and terrible, or several of the most terrible things that happened interrelated here is similar to what you're describing today with the latest attack against Turning Point and some of the ongoing violence. I specifically, when I sent a letter to then Director Comey in September of 2016, I asked his, to feel free to contact me to discuss these things. But literally, there was no follow-up, and I had constant death threats ongoing for many, many months, really for over a year, kind of based on these false lies that were being put out there nonstop by the opponents of then candidate Donald J. Trump.
The implication is that you needed to be investigated, and meanwhile, just the opposite was happening. And true or false, didn't they all know the truth? Didn't they all know you had been helping the government?
Well, when I had offered in September of 2016 to have meetings with them, and they completely blew me off while still signing these fraudulent FISA warrants in October of 2016 and again in January 2016, just a couple of days before the president's first inauguration in early 2017. And I wasn't given the opportunity to even, you talk about freedom of speech and ability to be heard. They kept doing this, using these Democrat operatives, and I didn't even have a chance to even speak with them until the month of March in 2017.
And the bottom line is, and we talked about it at the time, and I had long interviews with you at the time, the bottom line is they used you as a volunteer for the Trump campaign to backdoor their way into the Trump campaign, later his transition team, and later Donald Trump's first term. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And in those interrogations that I had throughout March 2017, after they were already listening to all the eavesdropping, both from electronic surveillance, all of my phone calls, reading all of my emails, totally illegally. And, I eventually had the chance to talk to them, but they still continued to perpetrate these lies. And unfortunately, it just continued. And that was my biggest concern, is that the impact it was having on President Trump and so many of his other supporters who were going through precisely the same thing. And exactly as you're broadcasting tonight, additional death threats that so many of us experienced.
Let me ask you this. I remember you were in my radio studio one day, and I asked you at length about whether you would sue the people that did this to you and upended your life completely. I don't remember reading about any litigation. Are you going to follow through on that?
I have been, you asked about former Director Comey. I've been in litigation with him for going on 5 years already. And it's the Project for Privacy and Surveillance Accountability. Some of the top lawyers in the United States have been really working hard to get some accountability, but there has been zero accountability. And I blame a lot of it. It's a lot of the same jurists in the federal court system that have created a lot of headwinds for President Trump in that other context as well, in terms of his ongoing litigation as well. And
I wish the Chief Justice Roberts, who has jurisdiction over the FISA courts, I hope he brings you in and talks to you, and we get to the bottom of this. Carter, I'm supporting your candidacy, everything you do. We wish you the best. We're glad you're doing well, and you're welcome on the show anytime. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.